Yeah, I think this is a really important issue in terms of researchers wanting to get the information that they're producing, into mainstream business. It's very important that business can take on board the kind of knowledge that's being generated, and there's an appetite within business to do that.
So the challenge from our perspective here is that there's lots of different approaches out there. There's some great work that's been going on over the last 20 years, particularly since the Rio conversations. And that's led to lots of different piecemeal work. What we really need to do now is get this embedded into organisations, and that's the challenge.
And what I want to be able to do is to be able to recognise and account for the value of those natural assets and manage it in ways which ensures the benefit to both National Grid but also to our stakeholders.
At the moment we are largely focused on how can we manage our supply chain risk and our reputation risk. We haven't taken the step into here is an opportunity for us to develop a new business model around managing the natural capital and the biodiversity and the ecosystem service opportunities that are out there.
One is to ensure that the real essence of findings from research are put across in simple language that can be understood. They are not specialists in the area of natural capital, but they are interested in it. In fact, every business relies on natural capital, and it will be able to understand that benefit if you can put it into simple language. Secondly, it's very important that you keep it short so that they can actually understand what's required and not have to go into lengthy reports, which they just don't have time to. Thirdly, it's very important to put valuation on it. Some kind of pound sign is vital for business decision making. If they can't see what the money implications are, it makes it much harder to take on board when it comes to actually changing investment strategies or business decisions.
But it's really important to start with the decision that you're trying to inform at the beginning and then follow the research backwards so that the research actually meets that decision making need. Whereas if you start from the research and then think which decision is this going to inform, it's actually very difficult to work it backwards, if you see what I mean.
Getting placements with these organisations, getting to understand what the questions are, is really important. There's an awful lot of work out there, there's an awful lot of funded work that is going on that isn't actually necessarily connected up to the business need. And what we need to do is be creating those bridges between the business need and the research community.
I think the one piece of advice is get your message across in the first sentence. You don't get a second sentence. If it's an elevator pitch, you've got to get across the impact and the value of your research to businesses in that first sentence.
So I guess to talk to their colleagues in Earth observation departments, talk to people in industry and see how their science can really benefit from these kind of services.
Think about the business model and think about where the profit will come from. Business is driven by profit. So if you have a tool or an approach or a piece of knowledge which you think has a business application, the first step needs to be, okay, how am I where's my business model that's going to generate a profit at the end of this, and then work through all of the what ifs along that chain, because there are so many bumps in the road.
If there's some guiding thoughts, one, think about usability as well as completeness. Think about the language. Think about what it means not only to the academic environment, but how does that translate into business, into NGOs, and they're going to be the people who are going to help with you deliver that future.
So if you can actually understand the context that business faces in actually wanting to push forward with a natural capital agenda, and if you can articulate that understanding in a way that business will get, then I think you're very well placed to be able to have some good conversations and actually influence how business responds to this issue.